Hi everybody, Russ from My Hammers 11. Hope you're all safe and well. Today we're joined by a man who heads up the obviously ever popular West Ham fan TV YouTube channel. Obviously interviewing fans after the game when we had football, which was nice. Plus loads of other content. I think we've got over like 50,000 subscribers, so absolutely amazing channel. It's Nicky Hawkins. Nicky, how you doing, man?
Hi Russ, how you doing, mate? Thanks for having me on.
Absolute pleasure. Thank you for taking the time. I know you see that you're enjoying the weather there, so I don't want to take you.
Beautiful at the moment. Yeah, I can't complain, to be honest.
No, exactly. Don't want to take you too far from your sunbathing. So we're we're crack on. Obviously, the idea of the channel and the show is we obviously talk to you about your Hammers 11, but also to find out a bit more about your memories of West Ham. You know, it's quite nostalgic, and you know we're recording all these great stories of prosperity on YouTube as well. So it's nice. So in terms of you, Nicky, you know, what would be your earliest memory of West Ham? It doesn't have to be a game. It could be, I don't know, meeting a player first time or something like that.
My earliest memory would be sitting in with my dad, I suppose, in it would be the mid-'80s. I couldn't tell you a specific date. Yeah. It used to come on ITV at the time, you know, the big match and all of that sort of thing. But I remember, look, I didn't have much of an interest. I'm talking about when I was 4 or 5 years old. But you know, I remember sort of vividly sitting with my dad on the sofa in our first ever house, you know, watching a West Ham game and asking him all sorts of questions about what was going on. I didn't have much of an interest. I probably was playing more with my He-Man toys than anything. And I took a quick glance up and you know, and I remember vividly liking the colour of the shirt. We was wearing obviously a claret and blue shirt. I would imagine, looking at the shirts back, it would have been about the 85, 86 season. And I was asking him all sorts of questions. And to be honest with you, my dad never took me to a game or anything. So he was probably just saying, oh, yeah, just play with Orco or something, you know what I mean? And lead me to this. But yeah, I remember that was probably my earliest memory of West Ham.
Yeah.
I remember my first game, I went with a load of friends. And we won 6-0, and we played Sunderland. And I couldn't have told you what the date was at the time, but I remember vividly. I think I paid £3 to get on the door. I remember going to the old South Bank, standing in the old South Bank with my pals and all that. It was sort of a first time my mum let me sort of wander off on my own with my, you know, I had a couple of older friends. Yeah. We paid £3. We won 6-0. I thought, oh, this is brilliant. This is brilliant. And I since realised I was about 9 then.
Yeah.
So it's been about 92.
Yeah, 92, I think. Yeah, 1992.
Yeah. When I first started to sort of take a real interest in football during the 90 World Cup, that's when I sort of took a look up from my He-Man toys and thought, oh, this looks all right. You know what I mean? But so I would have been sort of about 7 or 8. My dad didn't go. My dad didn't go to the football at the time, but a few of my friends used to walk up there. As I said, you know, growing up on a council estate, a few of the, you know, the younger lads used to walk up. It was safe to do so then in the early 90s, you know, just to go and watch a game of football. And I remember, yeah, that was my first one. So I would say that would be my most prominent memory.
And also, a 6-0 win for your first game is not a bad way to start.
I think it's going to be like that every week. But funny enough, I took my son. I took him to a European game at Upton Park just so he could see. He had no interest in it whatsoever. Lately, he's been getting a little bit more into it. And I said to my other half that once he gets into it properly, I'll get him a season ticket and all of that sort of stuff. Because when they're sort of under 10. You sort of get to half hour through the game and they're bored and they want to go off and do something else, don't they? So I said to him, when he can sit there and concentrate, I'll take him. And I actually got him a couple of tickets for his first game at London Stadium, and that was the 8-0 win versus in the League Cup.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I remember you. Yeah.
Was it Wickham?
No, it was. I want to say Doncaster, but it's not Doncaster. But that's because another 8-0 I'm thinking about. But yeah, it was someone like that. Yeah.
I got the ticket on my fridge, but. Yeah, he sort of had the same experience as me, as like, you know, when he was remembering it, and I thought to myself, don't get used to this, boy, because you know this is a rare occasion, a very rare occasion.
Yeah.
You know, it's a little bit more rare than actually winning. You know, we don't win a lot.
No, it's true.
I had a good talk with him, but yeah,
it's true. No, I think I was sort of I had my first game. It was that 92-93 season as well, and I had sort of a bit of yin and yang. So I had what was the sort of the utopian West Ham, because we won 5-3, but the realistic West Ham, I think we played Oxford United, and Oxford United scored after about a minute.
Yeah.
And my granddad turned around to me and went, "That's it. Get used to it." And I didn't believe him, but yeah. So if that's your earliest one, Nicky, what about you? What about your? Obviously, there's a lot of time since obviously that sort of period. You know, in terms of the great memories that you have of West Ham. You know, in terms of
so many great memories of West Ham. I mean, as I say, I grew up in the area. I was a Canning Town boy, so you know, me and my friends used to ride our bikes up there every day. You know what I mean? Just to be in the shadow of the ground. You know what I mean? Kicking a ball about behind the garages and all that, behind the Bobby Moore stand. I've got so many great, but my greatest memories, I think, are the recent ones. Is doing the channel and, you know, doing it with my friends and, you know, getting to speak to so many people afterwards. And, you know, the 15-16 season when we was doing that, it was amazing. You know, great wins up at Everton and at Arsenal and things like that. But it's just, I think it's just the friends I've made, just doing it, you know. As I said, I was a very, you know, match days for me. You know, I'm in my mid-30s now, coming up late 30s to be honest, but I'm in my mid-30s now. But I wasn't one of them people that, you know, even though I used to go with my friends and all that, it was me and Ryan that used to wander up West Ham in our 30s. You know, Ryan, he likes to go in the pubs and all that sort of thing. I'm claustrophobic, so anywhere like where I don't feel like I can get out, I don't like to go into. So, like, if he used to go and drink at the bowling, I'd meet him up there and all that sort of thing. And it was a very much a two-man thing. Maybe a friend or whatever would come every now and then. But since I've done the channel, obviously, like, I've met so many people, so many friends, so many fantastic, you know, away days, so many fantastic home games, to be honest with you. But just, I think that's what football's all about for people. It's just, you know, enjoy it, especially during these days, because it's becoming more and more prominent. It's just enjoy the occasion, just enjoy the day. You know, win, lose or draw, it's you know, irrelevant at the end of the day. You still got your health, you still got your friends. So I think some of the more recent seasons are
and I totally echo what you mean. I think everything's, you know, this strange world we're in at the moment. You know, I think everything's been put into perspective, and I think everyone just can't wait to get back and watching the football, let alone what 11 we put out, what they're going to look like. They'll all have haircuts like you and me, Nicky. You know, they're all going to have shaved hair, but it's all about just being together and stuff. And I think that's what's come across this channel as well, is people openness to talk about their memories and stuff, and just that sort of interaction about football again. And hopefully, you know, could be in a few weeks. Who knows? It might just be August. No one knows, do that at the moment. But it's. I know everyone's dying to watch some. I like the darts at the moment. The darts is brilliant. The PDC, you know, class, absolute class.
I've been watching cartoons, mate.
Well, I've been watching.
You know what? Funny enough, I was just saying to my missus yesterday, it's obviously some horrible circumstances what we're in, but this is the only time we're ever going to be in a 6-week holiday since we was in school.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And all that sort of thing. So I've been sitting there watching cartoons with my son, and, you know, enjoying other bits and pieces, and I'm looking a lot at improving the channel for the new season.
Sure.
We don't know what's around the corner. You know, there's talk about it being played behind closed doors, so we're going to have to make plans for all of that sort of stuff. But I'm doing like a lot of sort of learning new, what do you call it, new skills.
Yeah.
I've been made redundant from a job, which, you know, it does suck, you know what I mean? Because I got a new job, but we don't know when it's going to start. So I've got a lot of spare time. You know, everyone's waiting for lockdown to finish, but I'm not going back to work. So I've got a lot of time to put into the channel at the minute. So I'm looking at the new season. I'm looking at what we're going to do with, you know, making plans for all possibilities, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think people are calling it Corona creativity. So, you know, you've got this time in your hand. You're not having to think about, you know, if people in work have to think about traveling to work or that commute, they've got all this extra creativity, or the mind's working. And that's what stemmed this channel idea, was literally sat down one day thinking, oh, I wonder what my hammers are, and just seeing that, you know, I think it was back in 2003, they did a big poll of West Ham fans to get their dream 11. And that was almost 20 years ago. And I thought, good time to redo that. So eventually, hopefully, over 500 people are going to be interviewing for this thing. But yeah, no, it's one of those things. And I think, and it's great that, you know, people are taking it. I mean, I bought myself been learning the ukulele. And so obviously the first song I learnt was Bubbles. So that was nice. So half time, first game on the pitch, I'll be on doing a but yeah, all right, cool, let's crack on, Nicky. Let's talk about your Hammers 11 now. As I said, there's a few rules for this. One is we try and keep it to 4-4-2 as much as possible. I am lenient, but as long as you don't put Paolo in goal or anything, I'm all right with that. The second one is you have to been alive to see them play. So obviously for you and me, we wouldn't have been able to put Bobby or Jeff Hurst or Martin Peters, but we could put in Guillermo Franco and Manuel da Costa, you know, for example. And the third one is it's your 11. Huh?
I said you're giving mine away.
Oh, sorry, spoiler alert. And the last rule is it's your 11. So it doesn't have to be the best players. It could be it's the players that mean the most to you, or maybe the players you hated the most. You know, it doesn't really matter. And that's the great thing. We're hearing lots of different stories from people and anecdotes. So we'll crack on with your 11, Nicky. Who are we going to have between the sticks for the Nicky 11?
Between the sticks, I mean, I was thinking about this because over my lifetime, apart from a few like in and out goalkeepers, we haven't really had many since I was been watching. You know, Ludo, Xhaka, Fabianski, but the one that really stands out for me is who was the most prominent, probably when I was the most passionate about West Ham, is Robert Green.
Nice shout. Yeah,
I think Robert Green he came from Norwich. He came with England credentials. I think it was probably one of the first goalkeepers I remember us getting that was sort of a prominent international. I thought he was a fantastic goalkeeper, a fantastic athlete. Took his job very seriously. And I remember him having some really, really cracking games. You know, when you think of Robert Green these days, a lot of people think about 2010.
Yeah.
And I don't think that does his career any justice, to be quite honest with you. He was a fabulous goalkeeper for us. And to be honest, I was thinking about Lucas, because I think Lucas winning Hammer of the Year last year was, you know, we haven't seen a goalkeeper win Hammer of the Year for many, many moons before my time. So I was thinking about putting him in, but just for he spent a few years with us, Greeno, and I see him have some fantastic games. It was probably the first goalkeeper that I remember thinking, we're in safe hands here. Yeah. You know, any shots come in, any crosses come in, he's collecting them, and I just think he was a fabulous goalkeeper.
No, it's a great shout. And I don't know if you listen to the Peter Crouch podcast, but he's been appearing on there recently. They're doing so he's a really intelligent man, incredibly intelligent.
Yeah.
So
I met him at a festival once.
Yeah.
V Festival maybe. And he was just in the crowd and all that sort of thing. I went up to him. I was a little bit worse for wear, and I don't think he took it too well. But apart from that, I never met him, and he was like a real hero of mine. So
nice.
He's a very intelligent man. And that stuff that he done with Chelsea with the European, you know, he made one appearance, I think, in the whole of his time at Chelsea, and he's sort of living off the back of it, like as a joke, as a meme, as you say. I think that's hilarious. And he just
that is good. I like good shout, Greeno. Okay, so put Green in goal. Who are we going to have on the left back, Nicky?
Left back. There's only one man, I'm afraid. It's Julian. It's Dixie was. I think he was. I never got to see Billy Bonds. I never got to see Bobby Moore. But when you talk about West Ham, they're the three names I really associate with it. I know people are going to say Brooking and all of that sort of thing, but when I think about just personified, I want to say professionalism, but I don't think a lot of his play was professionalism, but it's that spirit of, you know, roll your sleeves up, get stuck in. You know what I mean? No, take no prisoners. This is my pitch. This is my side of the pitch. No one's getting past me and all of that. He goes down in West Ham folklore for a reason. You know, it is sort of personifies that working class mentality. He got stuck in. He hurt a few people, and he's a player I'll never forget, to be honest.
No, yeah, and you know, who can forget his, you know, the number of goals he got from a left back. You know, not only the penalties, but he'd come forward quite a bit for headers, and he'd be hitting those 35-yard no backlifts into the top corners as well.
That's the thing, isn't it? It's like probably up to about 2000. That sort of time, he's probably scored the best goals I've ever seen for West Ham, you know. And to get a man that's so solid defensively, plus can ping a ball like that, like a wand of a left foot, You know, I've seen him put him in the top corners, you know, 10, 12 goals a season from left back. What we pay to have him now?
Yeah, I mean, that 92-93 season, I mean, he scored my first ever goal I saw, and it was one of those 35-yard pingers into the corner with no backlift. And actually, you know, I don't know if you're watching, but Robert Banks has put in loads of the season reviews on YouTube, and it's like brilliant. I mean, I've called it the Netflix of West Ham fans, because you just got to complete it. And
I never heard of that till I've done a podcast with Chris Stoll about a week ago. And he told me about it. And ever since
yes. Chris put me in touch with it as well, and we got Robert on the channel as well because of it. But no, yeah, it's brilliant. And actually, I only started from the 92-93 season, because that's my earliest. And it's, you forget how many goals Julian Ditt scored, but also from like corners as well, which is something I never associated with the player. Right, so put Julian.
Sorry, mate.
No, go. So no, he was a great player.
I remember one penalty against Man United. And he stepped up, and you're talking about Schmeichel was the best goalkeeper in the world at the time. I would say he was, you know, he was up there with one of the Italians as, you know, the top of the world goal, and he smashed it down the middle. And I swear on my life, if you know, he dove in the middle, Schmeichel, and he couldn't reach it because he hit it so hard. He used to hit a penalty like as if to say, like, even if you get in front of it, it will take you in with it, you know. And I've got some great memories of him.
And no one does that anymore. No one rifles it.
No,
that's what we were saying.
When you think about the striker we had a little while ago, the Zaza, the penalty he took in the World Cup when he's pony trotting up to it for about 20 seconds, and I think, oh Jesus,
I know, and it was. No one does it. No one does that anymore. I mean, you had Ray Stewart and people like that who just tonk it, you know, for the penalty, but no one does it anymore. Right. Okay. So who are we going to go for right back then? We've got Julian on the left. Who's going on the right then, Nicky?
Now this is a tough one, because I don't remember having any decent right backs. I remember Breaker early doors. He was okay. I mean, there was nothing special about Timmy Breaker. He was a good player in that. But I'm going to have to go for one fantastic season. And I remember, like, during this season, I thought I was his biggest fan, and that's Seb Schemmel.
Yeah, good shout.
I loved Seb Schemmel. I loved him to pieces. He was, for that one season, I thought to myself, God, we've found ourselves a real world-class right back here. And as I said, it's a position even today we struggle with. And I was thinking, he is top of the tree. He's going to be a well-beaten. And I remember sitting there with Ryan going, might get his name on the back of my shirt, and he's going to me, oh, don't do that, you're 22. And I was like, no, I'm telling you, I love him to pieces. He's going to be our right back for the next 10 years. Fantastic season. Hammer of the year.
Yeah, he was.
Obviously. And then the next season, he was awful. He was terrible. And that was the end of Seb Schemmel, I think. But yeah, I'm going to go for Seb.
Yeah, good shout. No, I like him. Yeah, solid. He was a solid player that one season. Didn't he go to? I think he went to Portsmouth. Didn't he go to Portsmouth for a bit?
Yeah,
I think afterwards.
Most of them, wasn't it?
Yeah, most of Harry's lot. Yeah. Right. So we'll put Seb on the right back. Who we got in your in centre back positions then, Nicky? Your colossals in defence.
My first one, recent player, left us not too long ago. 2 spells at the club. I still think he should get a testimonial. it's tough. It's a tough one because I've got one nailed on. That again, I was a massive fan of him. So this was a sort of a toss up between two. I could have gone for Tompkins. I like Tompkins. He was a defender, but it's got to be Ginger Pele. I thought James Collins was recently. He is my favourite player. Again, I think you always coming from a working class area and you know West Ham roots and all that. You always appreciate a trier. You know, you don't have to be, you know, a Ronaldo or a Messi to impress me. You know what I mean? As long as I know that once that 90 minutes is gone, you've given everything you could, and you could have done no more. You know, even if you've made mistakes, you know, horrendous blunders and all that. And I think that's what sort of separates us from a lot of other clubs. You know, you look at a club like Liverpool, who is a working class club and is a working class team. You know, if somebody makes a mistake that costs them something, their fans go absolutely mental. You know what I mean? And they get death threats and all of that sort of thing. But as long as I look at the end of the game and think he could have done no more, you know, I always love a player like that. And I think Ginger Pele, for 10 years that he was with us over the two terms, I don't remember him having many bad games. No, to be honest, I don't remember him having many bad games. And if he did have a bad game, it wasn't through lack of trying. You know, I thought he was a very underrated defender. I thought we were robbed when we sold him the first time round. I thought he was one of the best centre-backs in the Premier League at the time. I think Aston Villa had our pants down, and I was delighted when he came back because, he, as I say, that sort of period when he was with us, him and Gabs were spot on. Solid pairing, and also with JC as well. You know, it seemed that arguably for me, the latter sort of part of his West Ham career, so to speak, seemed to be his best. You know, and just the amount. I think, you know, because obviously the amount of effort and I think you could see it even more than obviously before when he was part of a bigger team. But you know, when he was with us the last time, you know, the last couple of seasons, especially after the move to the stadium, you know, you could tell by his facial expressions, by his, you know, body language and all that. It meant a lot to him. Yeah. You know, everything meant a lot to him. You know, the stadium didn't work out. It hurt him. You could tell it hurt him. When we won, you know, he was like, I see him, you know, in my stand where I sit, he's come and jumped in a couple of times.
Yeah.
I remember watching him being at Arsenal when he was still playing for us. I think it was his last season for us. And he got a ticket and he was sitting a couple of rows back from us, you know, in the stand rather than sitting on the bench or whatever. You know, it meant so much to Ginger. And, you know, I'll never forget him for that.
No, good shout. Okay, so who's going to partner Ginger in the middle then, Nicky?
There's only one man for me. He was a Rolls Royce. It's Rio.
Yeah.
Rio Ferdinand. You know, and the funny thing is he was class. He was a class. I mean, his career speaks for itself. Yeah. In the years when he went after, you know what I mean? And you got a big solid defender in Collins. So next to him, a ball playing defender, someone that could bring it out. He never had his best spell with us. He made so many mistakes at times. You know what I mean? I remember like 97, 98, 99, him making so many mistakes, but he was learning. Yeah. That was the thing about Rio. Every time you saw him make a mistake, he never made that mistake again. He might make a different one or, you know, a slight variant of it, but he never made that mistake again. No. A brilliant player. Somebody who made defending look easy, could read the game. You can tell why he was compared with Bobby Moore because, you know, very similar styles of play. You know, every person in the country could see it at the time. He was going to be an absolute superstar. Yeah. And I think we let him go probably about season too early. But for his career, I think it done wonders going to Leeds. That Champions League football and that, you know, making the mistakes and it not costing so much because they had, you know, class forwards and midfielders to, you know, to get him out of it, making mistakes and learning like that. You know, his career was only going to go one way. He was a class player.
Yeah. No, I think the same sentiments. You can't really say much more about that. Yeah, as you said, I think he's a class player. Quality. And I've said it countless times. England hasn't had a defender since.
No, I don't think they will. No. Not like him.
No. Okay, so we've got that's a solid back five. You ain't going to get much change out of that back five, I tell you. That's good. Right, let's go to midfield then, Nicky. Who's going to go left wing? Who's going to be in your left?
Left wing. I should have thought about this, really. I had my defenders, but
that's okay.
Left midfield. Who can go left midfield? Okay, I know I'm going to put left midfield.
Go on then.
One of the most talented kids that has ever come out of our academy. 2 spells of us again. Never thought he fulfilled his potential anywhere he went. I think, I'll be honest with you, I think the season he had with us in the relegation season, I think knocked all the... It's hard to explain. It knocked all the flair out of him, I think, because he took so much responsibility. Joe Cole, he was 20 years old at the time, that relegation season, playing centre midfield. And he had to take responsibility. He became our captain, which I thought, for a relegation sort of threatened team, I thought was a crazy decision. I'm not a big fan of like flair players being the captains anyway, but he really did roll up his sleeves then, and he was the one trying to make the chances, but then coming back to tackle and all that. He become a very like industrious midfielder. But you don't want Joe Cole to be an industrious midfielder. You want him to be a flair player, a player stuck up the pitch and not having to worry about the tackling and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, I think I'd be a bit of a fool to leave him out, to be honest.
No, yeah, definitely. I put Joe on the left. Okay, so put Joe on the left. Who's going to go on right wing then? Who's going to complement him?
Right wing. We've had some good wingers, but one for me that I always remember. I thought when we bought him, I thought it was an absolute steal. I thought, how have we got this man at this price? And I think that's Trevor Sinclair. Yeah. I think Trevor Sinclair was, I think he was a very underrated footballer. He could have played for the top teams, I remember watching him for QPR a few times, especially in a testimonial for Popsy, I think just before we signed him. He played in a testimonial there. And he was a special player, really special player. Tricky winger, low centre of gravity, quick, could score goals, could go past men. And when we picked him up for, I think it was 3.5 million quid.
Something like that, with a couple of players. Dowie and Rowland, I think, went their way as well.
Yeah, a couple of, I think Ludo might have gone.
I think went loan, well.
I think to myself, how we got him for that sort of money and then traded them players for him, I thought, Jesus, like they must be in big trouble. QPR, because he's a player that could have played for. He went on to play for City and all of that sort of thing, but they're not City now. But he could have played for Man United. He could have played for an Arsenal or something like that, and he'd have fitted in perfectly. And about the 4 or 5 years that he was with us, I thought he was brilliant. I thought he was absolutely spot on. I remember a really good season was 2001, 2002, just before we went to the World Cup. I thought he was superb that season, unplayable at times. And then the next season, not so great, but then we weren't so great, So there was obviously things going on in the background and all that. And then when we went down, he left for City. So I was a bit gutted. But I thought, as value for money, I could have gone for Yossi. I thought Yossi was a good player as well. I think he was one of the better flair players that we've seen at West Ham as well. But just for my memories, he's Trevor Sinclair.
And also, one of those few players for West Ham who became an England regular while playing for West Ham.
But late on, late on, he forced himself into the World Cup team. I mean, I don't remember whether you remember, but he came in after like 2 injuries. I think it was Gerrard and someone else.
Hargreaves, I think,
Hargreaves, it may be, And he sort of got himself in the squad. He was cut from the squad. And then after a game, he had to come on maybe for Bex. And he forced himself back into the team. His performance was so good in the World Cup game that he carried on that form into the World Cup,
Yeah, no, definitely. Right, we'll put Tricky Trevor on the right. Okay, so that is some flair and some pace. I like that. Okay, who are we going to have in the middle then? Then who's going to be your, in terms of your centre midfield, centre 2?
Centre midfield. 2 very talented kids. Both youth prospects. The first one of the players that I thought made the game look so easy, and that's Michael Carrick. I think Michael Carrick was, again, when you talk about underrated players, if he didn't live in the same sort of era as Lampard, Gerrard, Scholes and all of them, I think he could have got 100 England caps. He was that good. Just so composed, a wand of a foot, a great passer of the ball, great reader of the game. I thought was absolutely world class, and I mean world class. And he's still very underrated. I don't think just by West Ham fans, because he's not remembered too much at West Ham now, but by Man United fans, I think still underrated. He was such a composed midfielder, and like always looked like he had 10 seconds to pick out whatever he wanted to do. And I remember the season we went down to the Championship, he was injured the season before, which is what I think was a big reason that we struggled that season, because he struggled so much with injury. I think him in the midfield would have calmed things down. Yeah, I remember that season in the Championship, he struggled, but he gave us a year, but he struggled really bad. And I thought to myself, why is a player like him? And it wasn't until he got back to the Premier League with Tottenham and I started watching him again, is that he had a top player's mentality. Yeah. You know? He wanted to read he could read what the top players were doing. And like, if a ball was coming out of the air, he knew that an Edgar Davids or one of the top midfielders at the time would control it. The ball would go there. When he was in the Championship, the ball was coming down. He was going there, but the ball was ricocheting that way. It was fucking good. And he just couldn't read the game in the Championship. Then he went to Spurs, £2 million.
Yeah.
Which was
absolute steal, wasn't it?
Yeah. I mean, you're talking, that's, robbery, more or less. But he needed to do it. I think it was a promise to him that they would let him go. And I know they was gutted when they lost him as well, because of a friend of mine's a Tottenham fan. But one of the most underrated players in West Ham to come out of the academy for sure.
No, totally agree. Right, so who's going to partner Carrick in the midfield then?
It's Declan.
Nice.
Yeah, Declan's got a partner in. The thing about Declan, I mean, again, I think he's going to be, if he stays, obviously, he's going to be a big player for anybody that he goes to. Another kid, a bit like Rio, never seen him make the same mistake twice. Gives his all for the club, plays that position simple. Like, if you look at all the great teams through history, they've all had a player like him who is not the hero, but he's a player that sits there, does the dirty work, sweeps it up, but he does it with class, You can think about Real Madrid, Makelele. When Makelele left, they was never the same. Kante does it now for Chelsea. He did it for Leicester that season, You think about all of these fantastic teams, Roy Keane for the Man United in the 90s, They all have a player like him who does the dirty work, rolls up his sleeves, gets the ball off someone, then gives it to someone who can play. Yeah. He's a very, very underrated player. I mean, I look at other fans saying he's overrated and all that. They don't know what they're talking about. I've watched so many great talents come out of the academy, and I tell you, he's up there with Rio, if not better. For the age that he is and what he's doing in the game. And I think he's going to go on to have a big, big career, especially with England.
Yeah. I mean, he's, as you said, he's 7, 8 out of 10 every game, but he's never going to be star man of the Sun ratings, but he's reliable. When he doesn't play, you feel a bit worried for that midfield.
Just a classy kid. I'm getting worried about losing him and getting without him, because I think a midfield spot is something that we haven't done too well lately in filling. So if he leaves, or if we have to sell him after this virus and whatever, I'm worried about midfield without him, because he does so much of other people's work. It's scary, really. Yeah.
He's. I think he'd be one of those players. We've had a few of them like Carrick and stuff, and as you said, when they're not necessarily appreciated as much as they should be, and when they leave, then they're appreciated, because you're
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
Christ, Carrick, like, he pinged some balls and he did that.
yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah, all right. But it doesn't matter, because we you know, it's all positive, you know. So we're carrying going. Okay, so we've got a nice midfield there. Lots of West Ham boys, lots of academy boys as well, which is lovely. Okay, who we got up front then? Nicky, who's going to be your 2-star strikers?
Well, anyone that knows me knows that one man is my all-time favourite. Is Paolo.
Yeah,
Paolo. I've got a picture of him on my wall. It's the only man that my wife has allowed me to, you know, to desecrate the wall for, because I insisted on it. You know, I've got it was a 30th birthday present. It was a player. Again, I think it resonates the try hard, the work ethic and all of that sort of thing. And he was work ethic. You talk to anyone that ever played with him or trained with him or anything like that, you know, he was an insane trainer, an insane perfectionist, and all of that sort of thing. But when you talk about sheer talent, just talent on the ball, he was I think he's the first man I remember in a West Ham shirt that I would have paid my money to get in just to watch him.
Yeah.
Some of the things I sat in a Bobby Moore for many, many years while he was there, from the day he got there to the day he left. And some of the things I see him do was outrageous. They're outrageous. And I remember sitting there, I used to sit with my cousin and saying to him, he shouldn't be here. He shouldn't be doing these things. We don't have players like this. You know, this is a top player. Come to us under, you know, a very, very dark, cloudy, you know, let's be fair, he's not all the fucking ticket, is he? You know what I mean?
No.
Like, I think that's what makes him so special.
Exactly.
And last year we co-evented a night with him, and I got to spend sort of 10, 15 minutes in his company. And I remember walking into to the dressing room, where he was in the dressing room, and he was always, I remember this from his days, he was always immaculately dressed every time I saw him. And I walked into the room, and he's got a lovely golden tan, you know, looks absolutely fucking $1 million, but he's got this suit on that must have been worth 10 grand.
Yeah.
I reckon. It was immaculate, you know, nicely pressed shirt, nicely buff shoes. And the first thing I said to him, just because I think it was one of them things where you meet your hero, you don't know what to say, I went, "You look so smart." And he went, "Well, I'm with my family. I always dress up when I'm with my family." But he meant it, you know. And I don't think that you'll find a West Ham fan that hates him or don't like him at all.
No. For what he did for the club, and his continued love of the club. I mean, I've said it a few times. Yeah. He's doing all those little video he did on Facebook of, you know, him doing keepy uppy.
He's doing keepy up. It's in his back garden in a 65 cup final shirt.
Exactly.
You know?
That's the thing. It's the shirt. It's not like one of his shirts. It's a 6. He's obviously gone and got it, or someone, his agent, or someone's got it for him. But it's not like when he's played him. No, yeah, PDC. He's pretty much in everyone's 11 who's spoken. So, right, okay. So who's going to partner Paolo up front? And obviously, you know, we need someone to partner up with him.
It's got to be one man. Again, do you know what? Me and him are similar ages. Me and this guy. Probably at the time similar body frames, and I based my footballing game. I had to retire earlier as well from football, but based my game on him just because I thought to myself, there's a striker that can do everything, and I think Dean Ashton.
Yeah.
If that injury didn't come, I think he would have been England's Alan Shearer, the next Alan Shearer for England. You know, mainstay in the side, basing the team around him, you know, getting the balls to him. I think he could have done well with the goal scoring aspects of it as well. I think he could have been close to, because he was very young when he had to retire, you know. But you see him at Crewe. He was a class player at Crewe. And then, you know, for Norwich, he come and took the Premier League by storm. You know, we do see these players every now and then that come along, score 7 or 8 goals, and you don't even look at Timu Puki, for instance. But he was just a class act. Again, broke our transfer record at the time, which was £7.5 million. When you think about it now, it's a steal. But he was so... Look, you look at him in the Legends game that he played a couple of years ago, he's got a fused ankle.
Yeah.
He's fucking banging in an overhead kick, you know.
Yeah.
probably 3-4 stone overweight as well. But I thought he was the complete striker, you know, from what I've seen. And believe me, I could have put Carlos in there, Carlos Tevez. I could have put, you know, Teddy Sheringham, who was a class striker for us. I could have put Johnny Hartson, who I thought was, you know, one of my heroes. But I think when you look at the sheer quality of his all-round game, he could chest the ball, he could head the ball, he could hold the ball up, he could go past players, he could shoot, he could do everything, everything that you wanted a top-class striker to do. Some of the goals he scored were insane. I remember a goal that he scored at Man City in the FA Cup quarter-final when he done this little shimmy. And if that had been like Ronaldo or Messi or you know, at the time probably like Lampard or Drogba or someone doing that, people would have gone crazy over that. They would have gone, but it was world class. It was like out of his feet with his right foot, you know, his weaker foot, like Cruyff turn, then smash left foot like an arrow, near post past Jamo, who was another good goalkeeper for us. He was just, and then the goals he scored at Man United and all that. Even when he was at his worst, he's you know, injured, on the cusp of retirement, he was still scoring goals.
Yeah,
he was still scoring goals. So if he'd have stayed fit for us, he wouldn't have been with us for long. That's for sure. Someone of the big boys. I could have seen him playing for a Chelsea or a United especially. At the time.
Yeah, with Rooney up front, that would have been a tasty two, wouldn't it? Tasty two.
And he would have been an English striker for years and years to come. It's such a shame he got taken away from us so early, because he would have been an all-time great. No doubt.
Yeah. No doubt indeed. And I mean, I remember when we signed him, I was so excited. And it's almost the same excitement I feel when we signed Bowen. You know, that sort of young, hungry championship player who you know is just going to be mustard. And he was brilliant. Anyway, that completes your 11. Nicky, we got Greeno in goal. We got Julian, Rio, Ginger Pele, Sebastian Schemmel in the set. That's your defence. And then we've got Joe on the left, Trevor on the right. We've got Michael, and we got Dex in the middle, and then we got PDC and Ashton up front. Not bad. Not bad. Could definitely do a job. If they were all in their peak of their careers, definitely, and not injured, obviously. Nick, it's been an absolute pleasure. Really, really appreciate you taking the time. It's been really good fun, and thank you to everyone watching the video. Obviously, like and subscribe, and obviously if you don't already, subscribe to Hammers West Ham Fan TV, definitely, because they're brilliant and producing some great content. And we'll see you soon for another guest. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you.